it comes to the E30, the only things you really got to look for is the typical rust spots, like right here. This one clearly has it. Your frame rails, which this one clearly has some rust, pretty bad. You want to check deck here, which you'll normally see in the front over here. They get rotted. Same thing with the back side over here. And when you come to this side, same thing, that front spot there. Same thing with the rear spot back there. Common places. Same thing with the front. This one doesn't have it too bad, luckily. It's all in pretty good shape. But this one's gonna be a restoration project. So what I recommend is, if you guys want one of these, you start with a bunch of the small stuff: fuel injectors, fuel pumps, fuel filter, spark plugs, timing, all of that. It's really easy on these cars. For a first beginner who wants to own BMWs, these are the easiest and most simplistic, because they don't deal with a lot of electronics and they're all pretty simple. And nothing beats the old school blue interior and these windows that just pop out on the side. So say you want to own something a lot faster than an E30, well, your next best bet for a bang for buck dollar is going to be your E92 335i, 535i, or 135i. In this car, you've got a twin turbo N54 inline 6, 3.0 liter. They're really good, and can hold a lot of power, but they're open deck. Now, that might be a drawback, but a lot of people make up to 750 horsepower on open block, which is really good. The only things you want to keep in mind of, you need to keep these cars cool. So one of the big pluses to do is to grab yourself the billet oil thermostat housing from Musselman, and then do a secondary oil cooler install, kind of like I have set up here. So we got the billet oil thermostat housing. It makes the oil thermostat open at a lower temperature, so that way it doesn't hold back all the pressure and it helps recirculate everything. And then on top of that, this is just an eBay oil cooler setup, but it ties in the factory oil cooler, which follows these lines to the front fender over there. And then I have it routed so the lines go down and underneath all the way through there, and then it comes around, flaps around, slides up, and then there's our other oil cooler, which Austin gave me the idea to put it in the center instead of in the fender, and instead of this area blocking the radiator, so everything's pretty much efficiently flowing. Now when it comes to brakes and whatnot on these cars, they're not bad, but I took the F30, the F chassis style Brembos that they have from factory, and it tenfold changed how this car brakes. It brakes way better than the wagon does, which had the same factory brakes. And I never even touched the rears yet, and I can tell you that if you're coming down from like upwards of 100, it'll definitely slow down fast enough, even with advanced auto pads and rotors, which has been pretty good, to be honest with you. Now when you put wheels on these, you can fit a 17-inch with these Brembos, which I like because Apex made these wheels so that way the lips on this side are just poked out a little bit, and then they kind of step down the barrels so you can fit the pads and everything nicely. Big advantage in my book, but you need to run a 5mm spacer or else the wheels will hit the strut. So one of the big advantages with this chassis too, with the E92 chassis, is that you could take all of the suspension parts from an M3, like the upper and lower control arms in the front and the upper and lower control arms in the rear, and they're all direct fit, direct bolt on, and they could get your alignment done, and it all meets OEM specs. Which is what I did here. I bought everything from Rock Auto for, I think it was like 400 bucks instead of FCP's 800. It just made a little more sense price per dollar for me. And then I got some KW coilovers, which are used, but I ordered 2 new front shocks or struts because they're not really good at all. They're blown. That side is definitely blown. This side's getting kind of weak. And then the rears, I didn't even run their shocks. I ran the Bilstein shocks that are a little bit more firm, but it rides really good now. Even with those 2 blown out struts with them on the way. The really cool thing is these things have a lot of aftermarket support. Like for the roll cage that I bought, it was 650 bucks plus shipping, so it's about 900. And it's a 4-point, but we're gonna get it welded in because safety reasons, and if I hit a wall, going down whatever track it may be, because I'm still fairly new to driving this car that fast. I'd rather be more prepared than not. And then when it comes to the interior on this car, it's honestly almost as good, if not a little bit better, than the E61, because personally I like the fact that these doors, even though it's a 3 Series, they have lights inside of here on the door panels that kind of illuminate at night. And for an 07, that's pretty crazy, because that wasn't really as much of a popular thing as it is nowadays, where people love the ambient lights in the interior on the door panels. It's orange, which some people don't like, but I think it's kind of cool because it matches the gauge cluster. It matches kind of the lights that illuminate the shifter assembly at night. It looks really nice. These seats are not even the M Performance seats or the M package seats, and they have the side bolstering adjusters. I hate the tan interior, but it's pretty much going to be gone soon anyways. And this car has 175,000 miles on it, and I have 0 blow-by. Knock on some fake wood. 0 blow-by. It doesn't burn any oil, and it treats me really good. But this car has had every maintenance item done onto it, every single freaking maintenance interval that it needed. Oil changes every 3,000 miles, even from the previous owner. He owned it from 80,000 miles. I got it at 166, I think. And so far, since January, I've had 0 issues with reliability besides the oil cooler that I installed and put the wrong O-rings in. Long story, but now it's kind of okay. It's not leaking anymore as of right now, as I fixed it this morning. And then when it comes to exhausts on these, they're pretty expensive, and I resorted to go for a cheaper option because this guy in New Hampshire had a full exhaust setup, had a turbo that I needed because my wastegates are bad on the rear turbo, so it doesn't build up boost until 3,500. So I bought everything for $650, and I got it in a stage 2 Precision Raceworks fuel pump, so now I can run full 85 instead of an E40 mix, which should give us way more than enough power and way more than enough reliability. So that's this chassis. Personally, it's my favorite chassis. Now we'll take a walk to the E61. So then, now we have our E61 535 wagon. It has the same exact motor that came in the E92 chassis, the 335is, 135s, and 535s, just 535. It has all the same problematic issues that one have, the oil pan gasket, you got your thermostat, water pump, all of that, but it's already been done, so that's not a concern. Always 10 out of 10, do your valve cleaning on time. When I did it on this, it had like an 1/8 inch layer all the way around each of the chambers, and it was just starving for air every single time it tried to get wide open throttle. Now, when you do that, make sure you put a catch can in there, because if you don't, it's just going to happen even sooner again. And when you put a catch can in, it catches all the extra oil, all the extra blow-by that you might have, because these do burn a little bit of oil, but this one luckily doesn't, because I can even open this up and show you that it's not burning any oil to this date. And I've got maybe...
be full.
I would be sad. But up till now, it hasn't burnt any oil, and it hasn't even given me a drop of oil. And this has 176,000 miles on it.
You could drink a iced coffee out of that.
Definitely could drink an iced coffee out of here. And you might think that this is a ghetto setup, but unfortunately, when I bought this kit, it's also off of eBay instead of the Berger Motorsports one, because it's the same exact catch can, the same exact lines that it comes with. I just can't fit it because, or fit the hanger, because these strut supports hit the cowl, and where you hang this, you can't just hang it there.
You could always just make a bracket off of the tower itself, that little...
I could.
Just drill something.
I could, but then I gotta extend the lines and whatnot. And it's fine there. It's not like it's not doing its job.
It's a European. That's all right. That's normal.
And this isn't like a show car. This is like the car I bring to Sunday cruises, or I go to a car meet on Sunday or whatever. And I just keep the hood closed and park it just like this, because everybody comes and sees it. They'll look inside of here and they'll notice that it's clearly an M package. It's not perfectly perfect, but comes with the M package steering wheel. I got the touchscreen radio in there. Then it has a massive sunroof, which everybody seems to love, and that's the best factor about this and kind of why I got sold on it. Even the rear seats are heated and obviously in really good shape. I love the wood grain trim in this. It kind of makes it look a little more, I guess you could say, not really rustic, but more elegant. And it doesn't sound that loud. It only has catless, or it might have catless downpipes on it. Not that the EPA needs to know about that, but
High flow cats.
it's got high flow cats on it, and the exhaust is not very loud on this, which I kind of like. I mean, you can hear it pop and bang a little bit, but nothing crazy, and it's all muffled. And then if you compare both of these cars to the E30 chassis, obviously this nice Audi right here, Mr. A6 boy, you have where everything started. You have just the basic NA power inline six. This one's a 325e, an 87 model. So unfortunately, it's not very fast at all whatsoever. It only revs to about 5,100 or something like that. But with the chip, hopefully it'll get to 54 or 55. But this is more or less just like one of those things where I bring to the Rad Stallions car meets because they have all of the older classic cars. I'm sure Austin will probably bring his Volvo out that's yellow now. And when this gets painted orange, I'm sure it'll stick out way more than everything else that I wanted.
How about this sick feature right here for aerodynamics, like a golf ball?
Oh yeah, that's for air pocketing. So what, like it hits this ridge right here, and it kind of just floats along the side. Really good for aerodynamics. You guys should probably try it sometime.
Yeah, punch your fenders.
I might have a new fender for it, but I refuse to paint it until it's time to paint it.
How about the headlights?
Oh yeah, so these headlights don't really make fun of me too much. I know they're not straight, but once I did them kind of crooked by accident, I kind of decided to keep going with it. That one's straight though, but these ones are crooked. You kind of have to like cut the old bezel and leave like a tiny thin piece so you can bolt this front support right here that actually holds the light to the actual fixture, and then you have to bolt it into the car. I'm not very proud of it, but they're obnoxiously bright, and at least you can finally see at night instead of the regular I forget what the halogen bulbs that they use. So that's a big plus, and they're only $100 for all four, so it beats having to buy the little circle lights for like $30 a piece, and you can actually see. But like I said, the only parts you got to worry about these cars are all the rusty parts that I pointed out that this one clearly has. But at the same time, finding one for cheap like I did and kind of going through the whole restoration process to hopefully hold value one day and then sell is kind of where I'm at, unless I 1,000,000% fall in love with this car after I swap the head and stuff like that, and then keep going from there with it. Maybe turbo it, I don't know. It might be a little bit too much to handle. Yeah, Austin doesn't like that idea.
Keep it
I'll
NA.
supercharge it.
No, NA.
And they would be cool with some ITBs on it though, that's for sure. I would love to have an ITB car, and this one might just be it. A little bit pricey on the kit, but I got my ways of getting around the priciness. And then obviously the Time Attack build. But all in all, if you plan on buying a BMW, I think that they're pretty reliable cars. Personally, I've had better experiences with these so far in my year and a half, almost, oh, not 2 years yet, but year and a half of ownership of an N54 model. And even like this old car, I mean, I could get into it and go, and it doesn't give me any issues. Yeah, it needs an alignment because I kind of guessed and checked, but other than that, they're pretty good. Minus this one still has a hesitation issue, which is either going to be clogged injectors at this point, or my low pressure fuel pump is just bad because it keeps flying around on the PSI when I'm in wide open throttle, which is probably the indication that the pump is overworking itself, getting too tired, overworking, getting too tired. Otherwise, as long as you're a little bit handsy and you don't mind working on them, they're really not nearly as bad as everybody makes them out to seem. Same thing with any European car. You got Audis. Same thing, Austin has had pretty decent experience with it so far, just not from the dealership itself, which is why I refuse to bring my cars to a dealership. I'd rather just struggle and swear up and down a storm because I can't figure something out right away. But all in all, these cars, bang for buck. I mean, that one I bought for $5,200, and then obviously I overpaid for the wagon, but that is what it is. I will never say how much I paid for it on video because that is none of your damn business. But the E30, only spent $4,500 on it. It says, the odometer says 179K, but that has way over that. It was 179K since 2011. It is 2023 now. That thing probably has 300,000 miles and still will start on first try, and it will still run like a top. Getting 30 miles per gallon, which is the best part about it. But bang for buck, BMWs are pretty good. I know you guys are following me still because I got all the Subaru stuff back in the day, but I'll tell you right now, that was probably the best mistake I ever made, because at least it got me into a platform where I felt comfortable. But now I'm more knowledgeable on how to fix things, that I can take on bigger projects and not be too nervous to get my hands dirty or mess something up and be like, ah, crap. I mean, heck, you get an IAG built block, you're talking $5,000, and that's just for a short block. When if I blow my motor in that, or I blow my motor in this, it's $3,500 from a reputable company, and it's fully rebuilt long block. And all you do is put injectors in, your turbo's on, and then you slap it in the car, and it's good to go. I mean, you can't find a better platform where it's going to be that inexpensive that you can really mess around and find out and not be SOL for way too much money. So, as this video states, BMWs are worth it, but it's also a biased opinion. I'm trying to get Austin into one. I think he'll probably cave soon enough.
Maybe.
After he sells the Outback. I think he'll do it. You know that they're a good price. But for a starting car and your first car, probably an E30. A little bit less powerful, just as fun, and they look really good. But if you're an experienced driver and you want to go to the track and stuff, definitely the E92. And if you're like a family dad or something like that, or mom, whatever, and you want to drive something that looks cool and is kind of quick, and you have kids to throw in the back, I guess you would just buy one of these if you can find them. I mean, you can find the regular non-M packages, but this is a 1 out of 1009 2010 production model. As for the color code, I have no clue what the actual amount of color of Alpine white these were made in. It can't be that many, as I've only seen one in this state besides mine, and it wasn't even an M package. So if you guys want to buy it, let me know so I can buy my 240i M package. But we'll see about that. Kind of want to hold on to it for a while. Like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for more content. Catch you next time.